Just start with the weekend's game, 2 out of 2 so far. Happy with the performance, happy with where you're at?
Yeah, I thought we started well in the game. We were obviously up against a tough opponent in Dunfermline. I think when the draw was made, we've seen Dunfermline and Raith Rovers, both strong championship teams. You see other Premier League clubs don't have any championship teams in their group, and we knew it was going to be a tough game. Dunfermline, I think, been unbeaten at home for so long, and it was always going to be a big ask for us. But I think at this stage of the season, it's still early on in its infancy, and we're still trying to integrate players, try to win a cup tie while you're still got a thought of trying to get players minutes. You know, we went with a team on Saturday that allowed us to get Mayo minutes and Finlay minutes who were playing catch up. You're trying to then, with a thought of getting Watkins and Vassell minutes who have missed pre-season. At the same token, you're still trying to win a cup tie in a tough game as it is. So pleased to come through it. Winning games and getting clean sheets is not a bad habit in our industry. So got to be pleased with the work. It wasn't straightforward. Dunfermline, I thought, were good value in the game as we thought they would be. And we didn't have it all our own way, but we'd have took a 2-0 victory all day long before it. So we now move on to Raith Rovers on Wednesday. Us being at home, we've always been quite strong. It's important we try and take advantage of that in a cup tie against a team who I think are very attack minded. Watching the game against Dunfermline, I thought they were very good in the game. A lot of attacking players, play an attacking system, a lot of players who handle the ball well. So we've got to make sure that they don't enjoy the game as much as they would like to, and hopefully we can get the cup tie won on Wednesday, but anticipating a tough game.
But you seem really happy with where you're at. Speaking to Vassell, it's such a positive place at the moment. You're full of confidence with these remaining games, and the league season started to loom ahead as well.
Yeah, I think pre-season is never really an indication how you're going to do, but I think the work that's been done, I think we've signed 9 players now, which try to integrate that in a short period of time is always going to be a challenge, but that's the challenge that we face. We're still looking to try and do a bit more business before the window closes, and hopefully we can maybe get another one in before the league season starts next Saturday. But while we're working towards that, I think that the players deserve a lot of credit for their approach to their work, knuckling down with the challenge that's there in front of us. You can see the squad slowly but surely get stronger as we get a few players back and make some signings. We've still got Joe Wright and Rory McInnes to come back, and it was great having Kyle back amongst things on Saturday and getting amongst the goals. But there's an understanding that a lot of these boys have missed a fair chunk of pre-season now, so it's important that we want to have that urgency to get them back in about things. There's got to be a degree of caution as well, that we don't overcook them too early. So all these are challenges, but I think by and large, I think we're pleased with how the squad's shaping up. We'd still like to carry more of a threat, and we're still looking to go in the forward areas again, if we can land someone there. And we could just be getting a wee bit more balance in one or two areas of the team where we'd be far more comfortable going into the rigours of the Premier League.
Just sticking with the forward area and Carl specifically, he was obviously just in speaking to us there, scored his first goal at the weekend. He said for the first time this year he doesn't actually think he's got a goals talent. He said it might be something to do with him being captain. He would almost care more about getting an assist and just making sure that the team win. Have you seen him, since he's come in, he's just been a leader on the pitch, but have you seen him develop any more since you've made him captain? Is he taking that role on well, and what are you expecting from him this season overall?
Well, I think you only get to know players once you work with them properly. I mean, you've got an idea when you sign players of their character and what they're like. Initially, when we signed Kyle in January, took to him right away. I liked his drive and his determination to make an impact. He's always been a player who's never really hung about clubs too long. He likes to move on and try different things. Even going to the States was something in a box he wanted to tick. But I think when he came here, a big responsibility fell on his shoulders, and everybody, but particularly him in the forward areas, because it was no secret that January wasn't the window we wanted last January. We wanted to try and bring more players in, and when the window closed, the only real striker, we lost Lafferty and Shaw, and the only striker we brought in was Vass, and but he met that responsibility. Anybody who saw us, even when he wasn't scoring goals, and you've just touched on that there with your question, he was so influential on us, and when he wasn't there, that influence was clear, how badly we missed him. So He came up with some really important goals towards the end of the season. But I like players, I like people who take responsibility, who demand standards, who drive standards, who have that inbuilt determination and motivation to do all they can. You can't always be the ones, manager and staff, try to give motivation to players. They've got to have that in them. And what I've seen, and more importantly, I think what his teammates see is a boy who has got the ultimate respect from his teammates, who comes to his work, who does his shift, who does the job and does things right. And if you can fill your club with people like that, then you've got half a chance. So he is ably backed by Ronnie McInnes, who will be vice captain, and a strong senior committee of players there who each and every one of them could make a case for being a captain anyway. You've got Joe Wright, Stuart Finlay, Brad Lyons, loads of players who do things properly. But Vass for me was, in the back end of last season, I spoke to him before we all broke up, and I told him he would be the captain this season. So it may have been a shock to him, but I think he's really quickly developed into the role, to be honest. Dressing room should be run by senior players, and managers shouldn't get involved too much in that. And I don't expect to get involved too much in that, to be honest, because we're creating a culture here of good players, good pros who will drive those standards every day. I'm never going to accept bad practice, never accept a lazy day, and I need players who will carry that through for me.
Just finally for me, going back to the League Cup, Kai was just sitting there and he's saying that the message from you at the start of the competition is we need to go as far as we can. Last year, Hampden, we've got to try and do that again. Obviously it's still the early stages, but how important is it to win this group, win this game coming up this week, win the group, gives you the best opportunity to get good draw going forward and then reach Hampden again? Well,
it is. I mean, normally you play a cup tie, you're in or out, it's a one-off cup tie. The group section throws it up, and for those who aren't used to it, you can't go into these games. I think you've always got to fall back of another game. For me, the best way of us proceeding through the tournament is by winning the group. It gives us, there's no guarantees with that, because obviously it's still going to be a tough draw if you get through anyway, but it could be arguably a tougher draw. We came through the group stages last year, we lost a penalty shootout, which means we came second in the group and we have to go to Tynecastle. We managed to win that game, but there's no doubt in having a home tie against another team would have been a far more straightforward way of getting through. So we'll stress to the players the importance of Saturday's win, but also the same message for this game, that if we can win the group, then it goes a long way, I think, to ultimately progressing and hopefully getting to Hampden. That's the ultimate aim for us, is to try and get to a cup final and be 90 minutes away from lifting a trophy.
Just looking ahead to the league campaign, can having someone like Kyle in for the full campaign be the difference maker between where you finished last season and potentially pushing out maybe top 6 finish? Yeah, absolutely. Our failure to get in the strikers we needed last summer was made the first part of the campaign really challenging, to be honest. And we obviously with the 10-game ban, we laugh at it didn't help matters, but at the same token, we bringing Vass in, I think you've seen made a difference. Even Saturday, bringing him and Watkins on at a certain part of the game, even though they clearly weren't up to match fitness, that type of thing, having those options, because a lot of times you can be organised, you can be structured, you can be hard working, all the rest of it, but sometimes the difference makers are the guys at the top end of the pitch, and you've seen that. It's Nisbet at Hibs, Shankland at Hearts, Van Veen at Motherwell, the guys that can maybe elevate their team's season, and we are no different to any other team. We have to put that big reliance on the players at the top end of the pitch. So Vassell and others, Watkins, Cameron, anybody else we bring in, and we're still looking to go again at centre forward and bring another option in, then there is that emphasis for them to be goal scorers as well as good teammates and play their part. So certainly if we'd had Vass longer, we probably wouldn't have went to the last game of the season to make sure we stayed in the Premier League. I was talking to you last week, you said you were still quite a bit away from the squad you wanted to be at. We're getting into the new season. Are you getting there and getting closer?
I think we are. I think no matter when you ask managers, they're never totally satisfied, but I think in terms of where we were a few weeks ago, we've got to kind of be pleased with the work that's done. It's no easy getting players here. I think even from back end of last season, I think all in terms of either re-signing players or signing players, I think we've made about 15 contracts. So there's a lot of work goes into that, but we've still got a bit to do. Forward area is another one we still like to do. We'd still like to bring a wee bit more balance and maybe get one more defender in and maybe one more midfielder in at the moment. And if we can get those key positions, then we'll be roughly where I wanted us to be come the end of last season.
Just one from me. We've talked about how important winning the group can be for getting to Hampden. How important can it be for the start of the season and building momentum and getting the positive start that you're looking for that you've talked about for the last few weeks?
Yeah, I think the flip side of it is if you don't, then you can have a negative impact. You've seen Premier League clubs in the past getting put out of the League Cup sections and putting themselves under pressure and having to dig deep. We've got a really tough Premier League start. Rangers at home is a brilliant game, but it's tough. Then we go to Hearts away, then Motherwell away. So you're up against some strong teams there. So it'd be great getting into these games on the back of some convincing League Cup performances, and we've got another opportunity to have a convincing win on Wednesday. But at this stage of the season, we're not going to be perfect, and while we're not perfect, we're not that good that we can think it's just going to be straightforward. We're going to have to do a lot of things right on Wednesday to win the game.